Okay, let's talk about authentication with JWT strategy. Uh, so they are using Passport.js. I think you can create a bunch of videos about Passport.js on itself. But I think a good place to start learning about it is the Net Ninja. The Net Ninja. Yeah, he made a playlist about it, which is very good. But in this video, I will just try to make it work in Nest.js. But just keep in mind it's a little bit complicated and there is a lot of files. So I changed 16 files to make this work. So just bear with me and just remember it's a little bit hard. And there is a there is a repository link which where you can find the code in it. And I won't type it. I will just explain it so you can go there and make sense of it. So yeah. So let's just try to follow the documentation. So first thing, you need to install this package and this package. This is types, and so you can import it correctly. And this is the passport and passport local and at nestjs passport. This is the integration package. And why you need passport local? Since we are using JWT. So there is multiple strategies in the authentication. One of them is local. Local, that you mean you need to provide something unique with the passport. So by default it's username and passport and password, but we will make it email and password. And why we need this strategy? Because we need to protect the route that the user logs in with it. So this route will only be activated if the user sends an email and password. Then we will do a couple of things to validate if that user who he or she claims by the credentials. So yeah, they tell you basically they tell you what I am saying here. There is a bunch of other strategies, and we will use these two. And here they are telling you about the strategies and how they integrate it. So each strategy has a set of options that are specific to that strategy, and we will have two files, one for the JWT, one for the local. And verify callback. This is just like a function that validates the request and if we should authenticate the user or not. So the first thing you need to do to start, but before that, I highly recommend that you read the documentation. Don't think you can understand it without reading the documentation. So we will generate a module and a service called Auth, and we already did that for the users. And in the user service, in the example, they use hard-coded data, which is just to prove it to you. Just this is the example here, just a POC example. But I will link it with the database we created. So this is like the database in their example, and this function, the find one, you find the user by something unique. So the idea behind this function is I give you something unique. In this example, it's the username. Return that user to me and hash the password I submitted in the form. Hash it and compare it with the password already exists. If that's correct, then I am what I claim I am. Who I am. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. But in our case, it will be the email. So when I type my email and the password, I will get the user by the email, then hash the password and compare it with the stored hashed password. That's with the salt. That's why we stored the salt. So I hope this is clear. But let me go into the user service and just show you something. 1 second. So in the users service, I only changed one thing. I didn't add that function because I'm extending the type ORM crud service, which if you go to the definition, it has the find one in some place. Yes, it has one. So we have this function and we just can pass to it aware condition. So we already had it. One thing I changed here, I made this public. So because I want to use it somewhere. I remember, yeah. And okay, let's go back to the docs. So this is the first thing. I will try to make it faster. This is the users module. So you need to export the user service. I already did that. So remember to export it because we will use the user service in our Auth module. And in our auth service, we are injecting that, the user service. That's why we exported it there. And this is the verify callback function. It's called validate user. We'll pass to, in the documentation, they are passing the username and the password and using that function to find the user. If the user exists and the password equal the password, just return the user without the password. Okay, simple stuff, but how would that look like in a real application? It would look like this. So go to the auth service. Let me close everything and auth.service. Increase the font. So this is the validate user function in the complete format, in maybe a real world format. So const user await the find one function from the user service. So this exists although the user service is empty because we extended that. Yeah. So find one. First argument, I think it's the ID or something unique, so null. But I have a where condition, which is the email. Where email equal the email itself, so like this. But you can shortcut that by like this. So I'm passing an email, but the default passport local strategy behavior is you need to pass a username. It doesn't matter if it's an email, but the key should be username. I will change that to email because that's what usually will happen. Okay. So if I found the user, I will destruct the salt and the password, and everything else I will put it in a variable called u. Now, if the user exists and user.password equal the hash sync the password with the salt we already stored in the database. So if that is correct, just return the user, else return null. I'm thinking about it. I think this might throw an error if we try to log in with this does not exist, because I'm destructing these properties from this variable, which might be null. So you can put it here, and yes, and this will be user.salt. Yes, like this. This is it. This is more safe. Okay, so let's go back to the documentation. Let me show it to you. Okay, so this is our verify function. That after the user submit the email and the password, this function will run. And okay, so in the auth module, we are providing the auth service which we created. If you used the CLI, this already happened, which I did. Implementing password local. So this strategy will guard the login route, and as you can see, just they tell you to create this file inside the auth folder. I already did that, but I will try to explain to you. So this local strategy extends the passport strategy, and you pass to it this strategy from the local password. Just this is like setup thing, and in the constructor you inject the auth service and call the super constructor. And so by default it accepts a username key which with a value string and a password key with a value string. You change that here. I will show you how. And this validate function will just call our verify callback, which we created here. That's it. It will just call that, and if that is returns something, to return it. Anything else will return unauthorized exception, which is 401. Let's look at the strategy in our code, which should represent a real world application. So local.strategy, and it's inside the auth folder. So it's the same thing exactly, but this is changed to email. You can, whatever. But look here in the super constructor, I'm passing the username field is email. The password field is password. So when the user sends them, I will only cache the email and password keys. Okay. So this step is done. Let's go to the next one. So here they give you some explanation, but you can scroll down, and in the auth module you need to provide your local strategy because we are going to use the built-in passport cards, and to start using these maybe I missed something. You need, yeah, okay. So you need to import the passport module as well with your local strategy. And I believe there is a code behind the scenes here will read your providers and get this local strategy, because now you can use your guard like this. Yeah, so this is a default director from the @nestjs passport, and the auth guard give it the local strategy. So this route will only activate, which is the auth login, when the user provide the username and the password. And let me just show you how that looks like in our application. So let's start by going to the auth module. So as you can see, I imported the local strategy, and there is the passport. Right now, in the current moment in the documentation, it's like this. But at the end, we need to specify a default strategy because we will have to, as you can see, the JWT and the local. And then in the auth service, in the app controller, they define their login route, this one, and using this guard. And so you can use that guard like this. You just put auth guard local. But the issue is this local string might be changed. You might change your strategy. So to prevent you from just keep repeating yourself, you can do it. You can do it in a class. So I already did that inside the auth folder. So local auth.guard.ts, and this is it. I'm just extending what I was passing there to the decorator, and you just put this here, which is I mean, you can just now change the string here. Maybe change this name and replace all. It will save you some time. And so add post, the auth login, the function names login. I'm using the request decorator to extract the express request. This is the type. I'm just passing it to the login function inside our auth service. But notice that I'm using the .user property from the request. This auth guard, this local auth guard will extract the username which we specified in our local strategy. The username we specified as email, so it will extract the email and the password and put them inside an object called user in the request in express. So that's why .user. So this is just email and password. And in the login function, what we will do, we will create a payload, which is in JWT. The data you put and you hash it inside the JWT called payload. In our case, it's email, ID, and role, and just we will assign it here. But this is like, we didn't reach this point yet, but this is the complete picture. You can say for the login, you save it by using the use guard, and with the local auth guard, that will put the user object, which is email and only password, in the request, in the express request. Okay, so let's just continue with the documentation. Okay. So at this point in the documentation, if you are following them, they will just return the user, which you submitted, just to make sure this route works. So okay, here they explain some things. Here they tested it. Here they do the same thing, so you don't repeat yourself. Yeah, exact same thing. Now let's go to the JWT functionality. First thing, you need to install nestjs, JWT, and passport JWT. For each strategy, you need to store its passport package, and this is the types. Go scroll down. You see in the auth service, they added this login function, which I showed you. This is the payload, sorry, and this is the access token. But in our case, so in the login, they just return the access token. And in our case, I believe I returned more. I can't remember. Yeah, I'm returning the user itself with the access token. But the user, I'm just returning, I believe, the email. I can't quite remember. I think I'm returning the whole user. Yeah, I'm returning the whole user without the password and the salt and with the access token. This is how you do it. So this will return the user. I'm destructing that here, spreading that here. So all the properties from the user object will be as properties here with the same values, and just putting the access token with it. But as you can see, the return type is partial promise, partial user entity. If you go to our user entity, I made also changes there. So user.entity. At the bottom, I added this access token, which is conditional and without any decorator. So this won't go to the database. Okay, just to make types valid. So I think we are going. Everything is going fine till now. Hopefully, I don't need to record this video again. Okay, so this is what you do in the login. You assign the JWT with a secret string and just return it, and you put the secret. In this example, they put it inside a folder called in the Auth module, in the Auth folder called constant. So yeah, and I already did that, but I think in yeah, let me just show you. So constant.ts is called secret key. I think in this should be something that you and your colleagues agree on, and you should never ever share it. This is really secret. This is like database credentials. It's really important to not share it, especially in the repositories. If it's a public repository, don't share that. Even if it's a private, I think the most appropriate thing is to put it inside the .env file and check it in the repository, and each one will. When you develop locally, you will put whatever you want, but in production, you should agree with your colleagues on what to put here in the .env file. Okay, so let's continue. So yeah, they tell you this here. You must protect this key. And now if you go to our Auth module, here they register the JWT options. The secret is the secret we created, and the sign option expires in 60 seconds. You can put 1D, which says 1 day. I already did that. And you are providing the local strategy as well. And I think now, yeah, they do this. So in the login route, just call the login function. Don't return the user itself, just call the login function. And when they tested it, it returns the access token. I won't run each example. I just want you to try, maybe I help you understand it, and just show you the end thing with the implementing JWT Authentication, Authorization, protecting guards in the CRUD utilities. I will just show you that. So now implementing the passport JWT, the strategy. I think so this super is you provide options to the strategy. They explain it here. So JWT from request supplies the method by which the JWT will be extracted from. By default, it's the barrier token in the headers of the request, and this thing is ignore expiration. Just to be explicit, we choose the default false setting, which delegates the responsibility of ensuring that JWT has not expired to the passport module. This means if our route is supplied with an expired JWT, the request will be denied, and 401 unauthorized response sent. So yeah, if the JWT is expired, passport itself will return this HTTP response. Secret key is the secret key, and the validate function is the way we are telling the passport this is how the payload will look like in our case, and in the case I'm showing you. So let me open that. Yeah, the JWT.strategy.ts. So in our case, it's ID and email and role. I'll return these three things. And yeah, so let me return to the docs. I mean, you really need to read these just to understand things a little bit more. And in the providers in the Auth module, just provide the JWT strategy. And they for protecting the routes, they created the same thing, the guard, so you don't repeat the JWT string each time. So if you want at some point to change it, just change it here. And here is they show you how they are protecting this route. It's called profile. So only the authenticated users will access it, and they are testing it here. And at the end, you need to define default strategy because we have now two. That's what they are saying. Not sure why, but so yeah, that's basically it. So let me just show you the code and try to explain it because there's a little bit more things that I added. Yeah. So I think before that, let me just try to run Postman. Show you Postman things, the request. So in our Auth login route, choose post, body, put email and password. So let me, yeah, I think, yeah, okay. So I have this email in our database, in my database, and the password for all of them, the one I faked, is secret. So send it. We should see something really cool, which is the email, about, name, update at, created at, the ID, the access token itself, and let's see what this holds. So let me go to JWT website. 1 second, I'll share the screen with you, but just hold on. So I copied the access token and just let me put it here. So this is the payload. We have the ID, the role, and the email, and the expiration, when it will expire, which is in the next day. I hope you can see that. It's after 1 day, the 15th of March. Okay, so this is fine. This is usual information that you need. And let's return to Postman. So I think this is fine. This is usually what we will do in the normal application. You will return the access token, which maybe with a bunch of information. Maybe it's only it, since you can decode it in the client and extract some information. So let's go now to code. Let me show you the app controller and try to maybe just recap a couple of things. So when the local auth guard will extract the user and pass it, and only activate this route if the email and the password exist, and we specified that in the local strategy. So if that exists, this route will activate and call this login function with the user. And here we are, and yeah, but the local auth guard is the one that uses the validate user, is the one uses that. So that's why we are not calling that. Behind the code scenes is doing that. And the sign of the JWT is from this service, which is from this package we installed. I don't think I showed you this. I think when you look into the code, it will make sense. For me, the only thing that got me a little bit confused is in the Auth module. We are implementing we are importing the passport module, and there is no place where we are telling it to use the. 1 second. The Auth. There is no place we are telling it to use this explicitly. So I know we are saying this here. So use the Auth in the local strategy. Use the Auth service.validate user, but for me it was not that clear. So I think behind the scenes this reads. This looks for, if it's a local, it looks like it's looking for this local strategy rules which you passed in the controller. So here, I think this is how everything is connected. It's a little bit confusing, but yeah. So this is our login. We'll just create. We will return a JWT with some information about the user, and in the register which is a little bit more interesting. So first thing, you'll just send a body, which is partial of user entity. First thing, I will generate a salt. I'm importing these two things here, and I'm removing the password from the body, and everything else I'm putting it in a variable called rest. So then I will create a variable called u. I will put the salt, the same thing, and expand the rest here. The password, I will hash it, and the roles is by default is user. You can handle the route for the admin. Just for demonstration purposes. Now I'm registering the user with the function called register in the Auth service, which basically just use the user repo. That's why I made it public, and just save it. And if there is an error, it will return it. And after I register the user and the user entity will return, so this is a partial user entity, I will just return the login. I will just log in the user again. So I think that's basically it. I hope it's clear. Let's try to register new user. Yeah, there's another things that I can show you. So I'm going to auth register. This is the user, the name, about, password, email, register. Oh yeah, the name is unique, so maybe change it. Yeah, okay. So when you register the user, you will get this. But I think this is a bad thing. I'm returning the password and the salt. I need to change that. So let's go change it. So okay, const await logged in user. This should be of type partial user. And what I will do, I will remove rest salt, sorry, remove the password and put everything in this variable. Oh yeah, okay, so it complains because this the same name. I think I can just, so yeah, I can, there is a simple solution for that. So delete dot password, delete salt, just return it. Should be fine. So let's go and test it. Postman. It's a little bit slow to start, but okay, still running. Okay, so yeah, there is no password or salt in the response after you register the user. So when you register the user will be logged in immediately by the access token, which is fine. So let's go and look at securing routes. So let me remove all of that. Go to the users, do the user controller. So it's the same thing I showed you in the previous one, when we created the salt and all that. But one thing, after the CRUD utilities, I'm using this guard. So at use guard, the JW guard we used, which is this one, it's really simple. So for all the routes that the CRUD utilities put inside this class, it will be authenticated. It will be secured by this. And this is authorization stuff. Let me just show you. So yeah, okay. So only allow the users that are authenticated to access these functions here. So yeah, let's go to Postman, try it. So go to /user, unauthorized, which is correct. So let's go, this is the access token, and this is how you should send it from the front end application, whatever it is. So in the headers, choose barrier token should be equal to this token that you get from the response, send it. Now we see the data, which is very good. And this is securing even the post, create, read, delete. This is securing all the methods. I won't run them. I won't run them all. You can just test it. And final thing I want to show you. I think this video is really long, but is authorization. So I will only allow the user that. So basically, I was in the first example. I returned all the users, but I only want to allow the user that that has the same ID to see the. So when you request /users, it's just for a demo. When you request /user, I will only return the users that match your ID. So I will only return you. This will work maybe in the posts. So let's go and put it there. So in the posts controller, you need to use the use guard, by the way. Okay, and the post controller, after these, put this here, import everything. So the filter should return what property we should filter on. So I want the user underscore ID. The user underscore ID should be equal to the user.id. So I will only show you your posts, for example. Let's try that, right? I think this makes sense. So this is how you authorize stuff. There is so many options for the crud authentication. Okay, there are so many things you can do here. I will just show you like the basic example. You can maybe play with it. So let's go to Postman and go to post, hit enter, maybe posts. So yeah, you don't have any for this user I don't have any posts, but to prove that this works, let me go to Postman and code and remove. Maybe that's the reason. So post is that property. No, I don't think so. I believe that user does not have. But to prove it, maybe you can remove the crud auth. So now we can see posts. So let's go to Postman. Send it. We should see an array of posts. Or maybe because I'm not exposing the user ID. I'm not exposing the user ID, right? Yeah. Let me try. Maybe I will finish the video, or maybe you can try it. I'm not sure, but let me go to post entity. Yeah, I'm not. So I'm not sure. I forgot how to do that. There is a way. Yeah, like this. I think it's like this. It's really simple. So join column, not like this. So just column, user ID. Type ORM is smart enough to know that I'm referencing the same column. I'll put it as int. Should be fine. And now I think we can. Let me go to Postman. The server is still running. That's why I'm not doing anything. Okay, it's run correctly. So let's go see the posts. Let me see. Yeah, now we have the user ID, and I think our user ID, since this is a new user, so no post. Let's go to this one. So the user ID is 1. This should have posts. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So authorization. No, not here. Here, authorization. Change this to this. Send it. Where am I? Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Jesus. So okay. Now let's try to filter. I'm not sure how to filter. I forgot. Maybe and user ID equal to 1. No, not like this. I can't remember, but let's try to let's try it in code. Put return that. So at post controller, return this. I think it should fine. Should work. Yeah. Okay. Still, this user does not have this any posts. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. It's really it's getting really long, and I think if you look into the code and try to understand and play with it, it should work fine. Or maybe I should put post entity. This I know this is just the type, but yeah. Anyway. Maybe if I did something wrong here, I will put it in the comment. I will pin it if I did something wrong. So, okay. Thank you.